And in Weinstein world, he made a lot of gold, right? He got a lot of people jobs. He made a lot of fucking money. And in that, he got a lot of people, a lot of women in particular, in front of the screen. So my question is, do you believe in the rule? And where do you think she, whoever's lined up to accuse him of what he did, where is her sort of control or power and position in everything that's happening?
Work on this, but I totally agree with where it seems like you're going, because it is a trade-off. Now, if he didn't technically require it, because you could have walked away from the role. You could have said, I will not do this project. And the perspective that I'm coming from, I was at my place of work where my boss called me to his office and proceeded to try to put his hands in my pants, broke all over me. He literally chased me around like the old 9 to 5 movie. So I get it. I didn't want anything from him. I was already getting paid to do my job. That's a problem. But when you seem to have an even exchange of sorts, and you become a $30 million whatever actress because you got this man off right quick, but you knew what the opportunity was, I don't know, like, is it wrong for him to do that? Yeah, but then you said yes.
Yeah.
And so now, where does that leave you? And then you say that your ambition is justification enough for you to feel that you've been put on? Or is it your ambition that caused you to do something that you really didn't want to do? Is it your ambition that you gave your body to, or did you give your body to this man?
Yeah.
So it makes me, now when it comes to kids and all some of these other people.
Yeah, we're not talking about the child. Yeah,
but
we're not talking about child sex
me,
abuse. We're not talking about rape. We're talking about you as a woman saying yes because you want.
Girl, she knew what she was doing.
Right. I don't want to hear Julia Roberts complaining when I know of 100 actresses that could have played that role in Pretty Woman.
Right. Although that is one of my favorite movies, I would say. But we have no idea who else was up for the part who walked away and said no.
But she dropped it.
Yeah.
It must have done a good job.
I was recently visiting, I was in Atlanta, and I'll have Jay speak. I was in Atlanta, and I just happened to sit next to a woman who mentioned, it was just a fluke. I sat next to her, she talked about how she was celebrating her birthday, and she was really a little upset because the guy that she had been dating for about 3 or 4 years, they no longer were together. So I said, well, what happened? I was just curious. And she said, they dated, but it just so happens that her boss was a relative of this guy. And because he was her boss, and because he was hitting on her, and because he wanted her for himself, when he found out she was dating his cousin, he all of a sudden made life for her at work very difficult. And so my question was, like, how long did that go on? She said it went on for a while. And she said she ultimately ended the relationship with the cousin because she felt like blood was thicker than water. She didn't want to come between them. And she said it was so stressful. There were days that she was depressed. There was days that she was stressed. And she's trying to balance these two men. But she said as soon as she cut it off with the cousin, everything went back to how it was before. So here was a man who had the power. He enforced it. He made her life miserable because she wasn't doing what he wanted her to do. Ultimately, she did it. But here she is celebrating her birthday totally alone and still thinking about this guy who got away because of someone else. I didn't even think about I didn't even put myself in those shoes. But I want to go back to what Jen is saying. How many of us think that some of the women made choices and then all of a sudden now they're claiming victimization or victim because it's interesting. He's out in the forefront now. So somebody else blew the whistle and now they want to ride the coattail. That's what I'm maybe thinking.
But how can you prosper and then be the victim at the same time?
Right. You are opportunist.
You're not. Well, at the end of the the day, it was a decision. You made a decision that ultimately changed the course of your life, because had you not agreed to it the first time, we would not be talking about you. We would probably be talking about someone else.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden, since someone else said something about it, now you wanna boo hoo hoo. Well, woe is me. I mean, look, you got paid to do what you were propositioned to do.
Yeah.
And you sat on it for all these years. Please continue to sit on it.
But I think that there's still opportunities, because now what do you want to get from this? What are you going to get from telling people? Are you trying to write a book? Are you trying to be, I mean, like, you're still an opportunist. I mean, so I think a lot of people fail to look at it from that perspective. There's still, all news is good news, you know? And so even if it's something, a topic like that, now America knows your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people get jobs based off of your social media, your followings, your face, where people come out and support, because now they want to hear and see if they can see signs of what you were in. So it's, to me, I think a lot of times it's still them being an opportunity.
As an attorney, I've definitely had to play the game. Yeah, I was embarking on a different area of law, and so it required me to work with other attorneys, seasoned attorneys, and usually those are men, so that I could be co-counsel in a certain area of law. And you had to do so many deals as co-counsel before you could ever be named as a lead counsel. And so I found myself having to play the game. Because the attorney, older white gentleman who was going to kind of show me the ropes, really wanted to like show me his bedroom, really. And I found that happened to me a lot ever since I was young. And so this particular time, because I really wanted to get into this field, it was very lucrative, I learned to make him think that, he might have a chance without ever giving him a chance, just you've got the possibility of maybe one day. And it's a sad thing that women have to do that. We can't be taken seriously for our intelligence. I mean, most of the men that I had been around had not even gone to schools that I went to, hadn't gotten the grades that I'd gotten, didn't have the accolades that I had, didn't even have really the intelligence level that I had. However, they could come together and they could drink and they could talk, or they can go to strip clubs and whatever, and they could do business. I couldn't do that with them. I had to always either be on guard and let them know. Either you gotta be a bitch and be like, look, I'm about business, or you have to be, kind of soft and non-threatening and make them think that there's a possibility that maybe one day you and I could be something more. Just show me how to do this. Let me in this. Open this door. And it's a sad thing that in this was like 2012, 2013, that you still have to be that way. But the reality is, before Me Too, and probably even since Me Too, power, you have to cede to power, okay? And so if someone has the power to make or break you, to open up doors for you, then you have to acknowledge that power, and sometimes you have to work with it.
I was just to say I have a very different opinion of, sounds like many of you in here. Because at the moment, that was what was appropriate, or maybe they thought it was appropriate. Who knows where they were 10 years ago, right? Fast forward, as we all change and evolve, we change our minds and we think like, wow, think about some of the silly things or mistakes that you made 10 years ago, 5 years ago, hell, 6 months ago. Yesterday. To be candid, think about some of that stuff and then you be like, what the fuck? And then you come back and you're like, what was I thinking? Well, that doesn't mean that's the issue. These women have been shamed into quietude. And now they have a voice to say, fuck that.
But if you walk away, you can't be shamed.
So you're not leaving any opportunity to change your
I'm
mind
not
or to
saying,
evolve as a
I'm not
person,
saying that
right?
that's the case all the time, but you always have the option to say no.
Absolutely, you do have the option, no. But
So-
apparently, those women at that and men
And men.
Oh,
Well, okay,
felt compelled. Like this is what I needed to do at the time.
But sure.
We all feel like we need to do what we need to do, right?
But I would say that if it were, to me, I want to throw this to the baddies. If it's about regular people, maybe. We're talking about fucking Hollywood with entertainers that are making like 6 and 7 and 8 figures on a movie.
It's still
And
a
so
person.
it's hard for some of them to say no, because now you're giving me an opportunity not just to get a job that's making about $40,000 or $50,000. You're talking about maybe $4 million, maybe $10 million.
Exactly.
And
I'm not
realistically,
saying
it's just
it's
like
a-
if that was put out there to you, I'm gonna be honest, that's something I'm gonna have to think about. Let me, before I say, oh no, I ain't doing this, let me just weigh my options. There you go. Because everything is real. You have expenses, you have things that you're trying to do. So before you say no, think about all the stuff that it cuts you off.
It's life changing, right? It's like the person who says, if I'm gonna rob the bank, I ain't robbing the motherfucking bank for like $5,000. I'm gonna rob it for about $500,000. And if I get caught, it makes my shit worthwhile.
Well, yeah, you gotta have a bail at least if you don't do that.
So I'm just wondering, we're talking about a world of entertainment.
I would think if you do it though, and you obviously you know what you did, you made that choice, then you chalk it up as a loss.
But you know what?
I'm gonna chime in. I would say this: we definitely know there's women that's out there that do whatever they want in Hollywood. We know that, but there's also women that won't do anything. So I think I'm not saying all those women. I don't know, but I think a lot of those women that are coming forward are the ones that's like, I'm not doing that. Those are the ones that have the voices. The ones that are like, please, I'm getting paid. They're not gonna have too much to say. They did what they did, got their money, they over there. There's a lot of the women who are saying, no, I'm not gonna do it. And I think in Hollywood, because women, we are hard on each other. We are, she's opportunity, she wants to do it. We so hard on each other that these women don't wanna say anything. So when they do say something, we don't get criticized by other women. We don't have a support. You know what I'm trying to say? Of other women. So to me, I applaud now, if you're opportunity, whatever. But the women, if it did actually happen to you, you said no, and I applaud them because that takes a lot to stand up in Hollywood and say, hey, you tried to do that to me. Knowing you finna get your butt just knocked down on the ground, that takes a lot.
But the keyword is Hollywood. They went to Hollywood. We didn't come to them.
That is just what I'm saying.
But I don't think they had the power to say it before. I think they are empowered now. We are in roles of power. Now I can step up and say, you did X, Y, and Z. But then it wasn't even about a role. It was about my livelihood, period, across the board. He's not going to shut down this job. He's going to shut down any job you approach because he has that power.
So I won't get the start. What you're saying is
I'm not going to get my
a
foot in
chance
the door. So, I mean, he's holding a lot over their heads. I don't think they were opportunists at the time. I think they was trying to put food on the table like everybody else.
But you can
And
get a
unfortunately, well, I mean, I agree, but this is my business though. This is what I chose to do.
What you're saying, I'm just saying he's in Hollywood. They went to where he was. He didn't come to where they was. So you still have the option to say no.
But I think it's this. If I'm trying to be in a movie and this man is the producer, I have
But you
to
just
probably
said
have
key
some.
word. You went to his word.
No. Listen, I'm saying, let's say I'm an actor
Okay.
and I'm trying to be in a movie. If he's producing it, I might have to cross paths with you. However, that don't mean I want to cross the path that you want me. But I still might have to cross paths. I might not be searching for you at your hotel room, but I might have to cross paths because I'm going to be in
This is the world that I'm in.
This is the world that it's like corporate or being in education or being in
It's like that's
the
her
attorney field.
profession.
So, yeah.
I do. I think, for me, I feel that the game has always been played. It's a part of life. And there are different kinds of games. So I was thinking in terms of, competitiveness at work, amongst your peers, friends. There's friendly game that we play all the time. Relationships. And so it for me, it never really ends. It just continues to evolve into different situations and scenarios in terms of, let's say, relationships. There are always games in relationships. And so there can be games to help, and there could be games to hinder. And so it's a part of life. As far as the whole movement with Me Too, as I stated earlier, I think that it's wonderful that everybody's coming together and speaking up and being heard. And I can't help but think about Anita Hill and how she spoke years ago. And there was a whole movement against her. And, now it's taken us this long to get to hear the voices behind her and so many others. So I'm really, really happy and excited about that. My thoughts are just, will it continue to grow and make change, real change? Or, will it just kind of die down, like other big movements do? In all fairness, like I said, like at work, for me, game is to be sold and not told. So basically, when you're working and you're, in sales, I've been in sales for most of my life, and, you're trying to win, you can tell somebody something, but if they're not ready to receive it, you're wasting your time, because my game is for me. I'm going to work it for Tavia, because Tavia's game may not work for Belinda or Marcus or Joyce. So I'm going to work my game the way I do, and it's custom made just for me. Some people call it their drive, but it's all game.
Well, no, just from my own experience, because I've worked with a lot of women in like the modeling industry, for instance. There's like a lot of opportunities that come up like for all of us, and you gotta know when to say no and take your ass home, Don't go to that hotel party after. You will never. I will go to photo shoots in Chicago with people. And my one friend who always sets up all the gigs, and this will be with like big stars, upcoming rappers, and just it's good faces to be around. But they know I will go there, do the job, do the shoot, and I go home. I go take my ass back to Indiana.
What age? You're in your 20s, right?
I'll be 26.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember when I first moved to Chicago, it wasn't that I wanted to model. That wasn't my interest. I think at the time I was about 26, and I was going to enter the Miss Illinois pageant. I ultimately found a photographer, but the very first one I found, this was crazy as shit, but I'm 26, and it's like you do what you know, and then when you know differently, you do differently. He says, well, I need to see you with all your clothes on. Right. Yeah, I'm a New Yorker. I hadn't heard bullshit before, but it's a world of photography. Like, okay, I guess this is what they do in photography. In my mind, it kind of sort of made sense that you need to see what was underneath, maybe. It wasn't a new photo shoot, but I was also not sure. And so I didn't get completely naked. I got partially naked, and he's like, well, let me see, what's your bust size? Well, now, years later, and in the moment, it felt uncomfortable. It didn't feel comfortable. I'm like, this ain't some shit. Like, why are we doing all this? But later, toward the end, I realized, this is some bullshit. He's getting his rocks off on seeing me and my body. I got out of there. That was it. I never talked to him anymore. But the thought was there could have been someone else who went further, who thought that this was part of it, right? Whether I'm going to get some free pictures, whether I'm going to get introduced to all these people you say you know. I agree that there's sometimes, based on our knowledge and our wisdom, that we make bad choices. Then I guess the question is, would I ever rat him out? If he ever was exposed for being some rapist or, would I raise my hand and say I was in that pot? I don't know. I don't know if it would be worth it. But I'm with Wink in that, some of the women who are coming out about Weinstein is, there's some credibility because they're in a position now. What were you saying?
No, it's like she said, because they didn't do it, they did.
Yeah.
When they were approaching, they probably don't have the greatest careers.
Yeah. But I think that there are also those people who said, yeah, we knew about it. They kind of knew this is industry standard.
And you know what too, I think in the business, like, just like you just said, you was doing a photo shoot, you like, let me see your girl, you like, wait, what? Well, maybe in that photo. You know what I mean? Cause you don't know. Sometimes when you approach with that, it's easy for us to sit here now and say, oh no, I'm not going to criticize, right? But if he came in here, I'm just saying, whoever you might be that you feel could walk in here now that can push your career, and they say, hey, I'm having a party in my hotel room. Maybe 80% might say, well, let's go. I'm just saying, because you're not thinking this man gonna get you there and rate you. That's
No,
what
you're not thinking. Well, because you're thinking he's credible.
But that's my point.
And
This is how it happens, though.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
might
I
just
agree.
be looking. Now, are you an opportunity? Now, maybe some people call that networking. I'm just being honest.
Right.
So you might not think nothing's gonna happen. You're gonna just go.
Yeah.
So I just feel like when you approach with certain things, you're not necessarily feeling like, because if somebody came in here now and they had a bad rep in the industry, it's still probably 80% to probably go with that person. Because you ain't think, well, that's what I said. Now I don't know if it's true. You know, people start second guessing. Because you're right there in the middle with this opportunity in front of you. So I just think that you can't blame people for certain things. Now, if you go and you're like, I don't care, girl, I'm gonna do it. There's a lot of women that will do that. Whatever. I don't, that's their thing. But the women that are like, well, maybe I don't want to go to a party. I think it's networking. I'm gonna go. And then you approach me with something. No, that's not right. So I don't think I should get raped because I went to your hotel room.
Oh, no, not at all.
You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, whether we're not talking rape. Well, sir, right? We're talking some harassment. We're talking
Sexual harassment. Okay, let's say
sexual
that.
harassment. We're talking about you being in a position where I work for you, I work with you, and you put me in an uncomfortable position in order for me to, because you have the power.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that as a man who was in power, he was doing a whole lot of tripping over his power, and there were a lot of people that wanted at it. You know, because I think as women, if you're a mature woman and you've been out here long enough, you know that there's certain things that you want. You know that there's certain things you can do in order to get what you want. And I think that he cast the net, and I think that there were some victims, and I think that there were some that just played along with the game. And this is not about rape or sexual abuse. Is this about a man who exercised his power? Yep. And are there women that decided that they could get something out of it? Yeah. But do I think that there were some women who were naive and they felt like that was all they could do? Yeah. So I think that his net probably cast a variety of women that either knew how to play the game or fell into that trap, and then they decided that they wouldn't share it because either it was going to work for them to get what they wanted, or it was going to work against them if they chose to share. Power.
Yeah.
Right? And that is the golden rule. Now, the golden rule doesn't just apply when it comes to employer-employee. That shit applies in marriages and relationships, and you're married to someone who has the money and you ain't making the money, and then he decides or she decides it's my way because I got the gold. So it's my fucking rules. Right?
Wow.
That's reality.
I have a question. So, for every guy that promised you potentially maybe in the future he might want to thinking about marrying you, and you understand and you slept with him.
Yes. You said, what's the difference?
You know what made the decision?
Well, I think
You said because at least with the career, it propelled me someplace.
But are we allowed to go on Facebook and call these guys out and say, you know what I mean?
Promise me.
It only because or I did it because I mean it's just like a.
Because I thought it would go somewhere.
I wanted a ring. I wanted
Yes.
to have a bridal party.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it is what it is, and then as women we have breasts and we have butts and we have some stuff that they can't resist. We know this when we walk in the door in any negotiation, meaning a job interview. Don't sit up here and say, "Look, well, I hope it's a man."
You just, you every now and then you have that thought.
Sometimes you did it because of that, right?
You get pulled over.
Yes.
And
you've used that.
And you're like, I'm guilty. I am so guilty. Yeah. Or, you're out and you look in your purse and you're like, dang, I need that for valet. Right.
So we have our own power also. It's not just the one who writes the check or who actually signs the check.
Right.
We have our own power. How many of us use that power?
I have.
Yes. And I think that any woman in here who doesn't, you need to learn a fucking lesson. I'm dead serious.
Just keep living.
You really do, because if they use it, we have to use it too. Because it's going to get us whatever it is that we may want, right?
Hey baddies, if you thought that was hot, take a listen to our new segment, Good Shit, Bullshit. Will you be the judge? Is some of the shit that happens in life good, or is it just straight bull?
So one of the things I want to do is we're gonna close this portion out, but it's always a fun wrap up for Talking Shit with LSH, the podcast. We're gonna play this game. I love it. It's called Good Shit Bullshit. How many of you ever played it here in LSH? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm gonna throw out a scenario, and we as a group of baddies are gonna say whether we can call it out, whether that's some good shit or some bullshit. Okay? So we're gonna keep it in line with what we've been talking about. All right, here's one. It's about sex.
Good shit.
So here's the question. Is it good sex? Is it good shit if it's the size is short? The size is short, but the emotion is still there. So
that's the same thing as love and passion.
I'm asking you. I'm asking the floor. I'm asking the baddies. Is that good shit or bullshit?
Good shit.
Small sex.
Good shit.
Small.
Is the physical and emotional, like if the physical sucks, like
The small dick.
No, yeah, the small dick.
He can mess up the sign.
About 30, 40 more years of a good sex life, and you're not finna be turning me up down here.
So if the size is, you don't care about how little it is.
Mental.
Well, baddies, that was some good shit. And if you liked what you've seen, and definitely what you heard, make sure you subscribe to Unleash the Baddie on YouTube so you can tune in every Thursday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, where you'll catch more baddies, more hot topics, and more baditude on Talking Shit with LSH. Peace. Hey baddies, come on out to Comedy Night being powered by Creative Cypher. That's Monday, February 19th at 7 p.m. at the Black Ensemble Theater, 4450 North Clark Street, where your girl LSH will host the red carpet along with Simeon, Mr. Chicago Henderson. We'll be able to unleash on some great laughs being hosted by T-Murph, sounds by DJ Shantae, with performances by Mark Hood, Lily Mason, M. Brown, and Calvin Evans. Tickets are $25. You can go to TroyPryorPresents.eventbrite.com. Grab your baddies, get your girls, get your guy, and we'll see you there.